I lived in Dorchester, and I don't know if you know, it's the Washington Street and Columbia Road section. And my grandparents, my grandfather is from the island of Grenada. And when he came here, he worked really, really hard, and he was one of the first black families to purchase a triple-decker in Dorchester. And he was also on the city council in Boston, and he worked with advocating for a lot of African Americans to purchase homes in the area at the time, and having people leave public housing and purchase homes. And so he instilled that in like all of his grandkids. And then when I lived there, I attended the meetings on how to keep our neighborhood safe, how to not allow like a liquor store on every corner, how to have like more healthier food options in our neighborhoods instead of just fast food. Also with, we would have like events for like giving Christmas trees to families every Christmas, turkeys, passing out turkeys to families, going door to door, gardening, picking up trash. I mean, there was a lot of things. And so I would like I said, when I moved to Attleboro, I just got really relaxed. and I haven't been doing much of that. So I would really like to get involved, and that's what I did.
That's great. Thank you, President Delicio.
Yeah, Jonathan, I have the exact same question. So what I will say is, as a 20-year transplant to the city,
Oh, okay.
I just grew up just 3 towns north of Boston,
Okay.
so I know the area you're talking about pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah, welcome. Bring the passion, don't lose the passion. And, you know, one thing that I found when I started in government, and I work in government for my full-time job, is people always say, well, it's the way it's always been done. Challenge
Yes.
it. Challenge it.
Yes, that's
So
true.
welcome. I think you'll be a great addition. I'm just blown away by your passion.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Great. Any other questions, comments, concerns? All right, well, thanks, Kiana. Thank you very much. And as we discussed earlier, I told you the process, and we'll be hearing from you soon, and looking forward to interacting with you more.
Okay.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. All right, from the docket of June 18, 2024, I entertain a motion to approve the appointment of Kiana Chan, 93B Orange Street, to fill an unexpired term on the Cultural Council, term to expire February 2026.
Second.
Thank you. Obviously, we just heard from Kiana. We're extremely impressed. And any questions, comments, concerns?
No.
All right. Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 3-0. For the docket of June 18, 2024, I entertain a motion to transfer of $16,385.43 from account 11241-000-578-300 Citywide Reserve Fund for transfer to account 16301-000-515-075 Recreation Earned Time Payment.
Second.
Thank you, sir. Basically, this is a longtime employee that's done an incredible job for the city and is retired, and this is his earned time payment. Any questions?
Yes.
President Delicio.
This is Cliff.
Yes, sir.
So I just want to take a second to thank Cliff Daniel for his service to the city. Great guy. Talk about a guy who's passionate about the recreation department and the fields. I mean, you'll see him at 6 o'clock in the morning driving across the city, checking in the field. So congratulations on your well-earned retirement.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, President Delicio. I've known Cliff probably, I think we determined it was probably about 45 years. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow.
And the guy is fantastic, and we met each other in a hospital bed.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep, that's sturdy. So,
I think there's more details to that story we'll leave out.
So he has done an incredible job with the city, and he is going to be sorely missed. Sorely missed. All right. Seeing no more questions, comments, concerns, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 3-0. From the docket of June 4th, 2024, I entertain a motion to approve the expenditure of such funds and any future grant amendments regarding the receipt of the Community Development Block Grant for $15,702 to be used by the Council on Aging to fund the Outreach Shine Counselor.
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Tavares. obviously this is a really good grant, and this is a very important position for the Council on Aging, and this is going to be very well used. So, any other questions, comments, concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes 3-0. From the docket of June 4, 2024, entertain a motion to make the following transfers. $132,750 from account 1124-100-578360, citywide reserve for compensation 53rd week, to account 1124-100-599550, citywide transfer to compensate absence, and further transfer of $132,750 to fund 2517 reserve for compensated absence, $45,801.86 from account 1124-100-578350, citywide reserve fund labor negotiations, to account 1124-100-599550, citywide transfer to compensated absence, and further transfer of $45,801.86 to fund 2517 reserve for compensated absence.
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Tavares. So basically, this is contractual. This is for the 53rd week, and this is going to take care of, from what I understand, animal control, police, and fire. Any questions, comments? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes 3-0. From the docket of June 4th, 2024, I entertain a motion to place the title Zoo Curator to a grade 7 exempt classification plan and amending the classification plan established in section 13-3.1 of city ordinances. Second. Thank you, Councilor Tavares. I wasn't sure if there was anything on the other side. We had Lynn Davin and John here last week at the public hearing, and they went through this pretty well, and I think this is going to be a great position, and they're going about it really well in how they're doing this, and I think this is going to serve the zoo well and the residents. Any questions, comments, concerns? Councilor Tavares. Okay, Councilor Tavares.
Yeah, so no, just a comment. Appreciated hearing from John last week, and really looking forward to some of the ideas that he has coming in from the outside with a new, fresh perspective on the zoo, and even just looking at the org structure of what are ways that we can become more efficient and really address some of the needs of the zoo, and so to really challenge some of the existing positions and say, okay, well, how can we take this and cobble together some of the needs that we have and create a position that will address those. So it was good to hear that perspective for this position for zoo curator. So I'm hopeful that this will yield some results in the near future.
Thank you, President Delacio.
Second time.
Yeah.
What I will add to that, though, Jonathan, is I appreciate Lynn Davin coming down as well. I think too often we have these public hearings and we don't get anyone from the administration, not just here, but previous administrations. Having Lynn come down to the last several to explain this has been really helpful from my perspective. I think it helps us understand. In just a couple weeks ago, she was down, explained a couple other positions. So to hear from John about how he's got a vision for the zoo and saying, hey, whatever's the past is the past. Why not Cape and Park Zoo? Then to have the nuts and bolts of it defined and explained by Lynn, I thought was great.
Thank you, President Delacio. Yeah, I've been talking to John, and we've had some emails back and forth and stuff. And being the way I am with animals and pets and everything, I am really happy to hear what he had to say and how his foresight to be able to take care of all the animals and everything is really, really warms my heart. So I'm really happy that this is happening. All right, any other questions, comments, concerns? All right, seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes 3-0. All right, for the docket of June 4th, 2024, entertain to amend section 2-1.1 of the revised ordinances by changing chairman to chair and adding the words and vice chair after the word chair. The amended section 2-8.1 will read as follows. This is hereby established within the municipal government and unpaid municipal building commission consisting of 9 members to be appointed by the mayor subject to confirmation by the municipal council. Each member shall be a resident of the city of Attleboro, especially fitted by education, training, and experience to perform the duties of the office. It shall have no personal or financial interest in any contract supervised by or which could be supervised by said commission. Each member shall serve for a term of 3 years with a term of 3 members to expire each year. The mayor shall appoint the chair and vice chair annually.
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Tavares. basically, this takes care of chairman and board chair, and also at the same time, it's adding in a vice chair as well, so that if the chairman is out, the vice chair can take care of it, and we're not missing any meetings, because obviously this is one of many very important committees and commissions within the city. Any questions, comments, concerns? All right,
Actually-
Councilor Sawyer.
I just wanted to mention that I appreciate the inclusiveness of the changing of the wording, because words matter, so that everybody can be included as a chair or vice chair.
Yeah, absolutely. Good point. Thank you. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes 3-0. That's all there is for Personnel, Veterans, Human Services Committee. Call for a meeting at the next appropriate time.
Do you want to return this one?
I'm sorry?
Do you want to return this one?
Oh, I call for adjourned, sorry. All those in favor?
Aye.
Well, it needs a second, so second?
Second.
Yeah. Yeah, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. We are adjourned at 7:01. And for compensation classification, we have no new business, so we call for a meeting at the next appropriate time, and I hope to have an update on where we're at then at our next committee meeting.
Call the special committee on tax abatement review to order at 7:02. This evening, we have a special guest with us. Mr. Smith, come on up.
Yeah, that'd be great, thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Don Smith. I'm chairman of the Board of Assessors, and we're here tonight to discuss the Elderly and Disabled Taxation Committee that was formed about a year ago. The idea of doing so, I think, came up back in 2021. I think Councilman Conti was involved with it. I wasn't here then. But basically, the whole idea is to try to come up with ways or solutions to help those low-income people who are residents and taxpayers who are having difficulty meeting their financial obligations. So over the last year, we've been meeting, and I'd just like to give you an idea of who the committee members are. You can switch. I've never used PowerPoint, so Julie's helping me with the buttons. I'm sorry. They selected me as their chair, Donald Smith. Laura Signac, who you know is our city treasurer, and she's been really pushing hard for this whole idea. Terry DeSisto is the clerk of the committee. Terry, raise your hand. Terry's also a member of the Municipal Building Commission, a longtime member of the Building Commission. And Julie Hall, one of your former colleagues who is not here tonight, is also on the committee. And there's one vacancy. We've been meeting over the year. We've promulgated some rules and regulations, who qualifies, where they apply, when we make decisions, and when the money would be awarded. But so far, if you've seen in some tax or utility bills, there were little flyers inserted, and I believe we've collected about $17,500. Wow. So, but we're here tonight to publicize that so we get more money. So let me talk about the legislation. It's Mass General Law, Chapter 60, Section 3D. And basically, the legislature allowed for these committees to be formed, and mandatory on the committee is the chairman of the Board of Assessors, the city treasurer, and 3 residents of the city that the mayor appoints. The money that's collected is put into a special fund, I believe through CDA Inc.
It goes through a bank account that we have that's separate from everything else.
Right, okay. Yeah, for that purpose. So it doesn't get commingled with city funds. And we've adopted all the rules and regulations. We've gone to the Department of Revenue, which is part of what we do, to get their blessing. And at that last meeting, the 21st year 2021 with the council, we sort of got the council's blessings at the time to move forward. So that's what we've done. So why we've created it, we have a number of people who, Laura finally sees them in her office, but basically people who have had some hardships in their life. Their heating system goes, their roof needs to be replaced, they've lost a job, they've lost a spouse. So they want to pay their taxes, but they have to come up with ways to do that. So we hope this committee will be able to come up with some ways to help them to meet their tax obligation. You know, Ben Franklin said the only thing that's certain in life is death and taxes. So we try to do the best we can. And you know, their home is their major investment in life. It's everything they have. You hate to see them go through it. And Laura, I'm going to ask Laura to come up and speak a little bit about the process. So many of you may not understand how that works, but when you don't pay their taxes, there's a certain process the city has that they have to follow. But I must say, I see President Delicio back there, who's a former banker. Laura was a former banker. I was a former banker. And I know the banks never want to take someone's property. They never want to foreclose. And same with the city. So I'll let Laura speak to that.
Thank you. Good evening. How are you all today? So I am here just to talk about the process, and I don't think everybody understands what tax title is. So what happens is when people become past due on their current taxes, whatever fiscal year it is, those taxes then get leaned on to come up to my office in what's called a tax title. It's called a taking. So Zaida, the collector, will then put a lien on people's property. She sends out multiple letters to try to collect money from these residents. Their names go in the newspaper, which is all per Mass General Law, and then she tries to collect those funds. If she cannot collect them, they do come as a taking up to the treasurer's office. At that time, when we receive those files, and usually on an average it's about 120 files a year. Depends on the year. Seen a little bit of an increase, and I expect that we will probably see that moving forward. Times are hard. When we receive those files, we send out letters to the residents trying to get them to contact us. So we'll say, you know, you've come up to this office, please contact us. We'd like to make a payment plan. I like to find out what their financial situation is. So I'll try to reach out to the residents and try to sit down and find out what their financial picture is. I have people from all walks of life in the office, elderly, disabled, owners that own multiple family homes. So it's not just one picture. I have commercial property. I think I've told you, and I've laughed about this, that I have a tree in tax title that was there from many, many years ago. So there's a lot of different things and properties that are in tax title. But I try to actually talk to those residents and see what their financial picture is. See if they have the services that could be provided to them if they qualify for them. So are they getting heat assistance? You know, are they getting all the needs that they actually qualify for? And if they don't have those, I'll try to send them over to the person who handles all the social worker in the city. So she can sit down and discuss those options, because it might free up some money for them to actually pay their taxes. I also go down the path of trying to see if they have other options. And I'm not a financial advisor, so I can't give them advice, but I can tell them what's worked for others. So I go down the path of, can you get a bank loan maybe to pay this off, because it would be cheaper than the 16% that's what they're getting charged by Mass General Law for tax title, and there's nothing we can do about that. I don't even have the power to waive anything. The only thing per Mass General Law that the collector can waive is up to $15. So I don't have the power to do so, unfortunately. So see if they could get a loan. Sometimes I say, can you reach out to a family member? A lot of these people, their family doesn't even know that they're in trouble, and they try to hide it. I've had situations where I've had a hoarding situation. The resident didn't want to talk about that situation with their family. Unfortunately, the conversation sometimes can be a little hard. You know, is your house in disrepair? What's your quality of life? So there's lots of different things and conversations that I have. I think this fund will be able to definitely help a hole where people aren't getting the help that they need. It might not fix their problem, but it might help them pay down their taxes to a point where maybe they can get on a payment plan and make a monthly payment. I've been successful with some elderly residents that They could only afford $500 a month. So I said, consistently give me $500 a month. Eventually, they're catching up. Now they're out of my office, and they consistently pay that amount per month with the collector to stay ahead, and they've not been back in my office. And I've had situations where people have had to sell their house, unfortunately, but they've come out with a profit where their quality of life is now better, and they've come back and thanked me. So I just think this is a very important thing that we're doing. Like Don said, there's $17,000 in the fund. It's been a couple years, and we see consistent every time semi-annually when that notice goes into the tax bills. We do see an uptick of people donating. So my hope is that people hear this and we get the word out and more people donate so we can help as many people as we can with this.
Thanks, Laura.
Thank you.
Thanks, Laura.
I might add, the contributions are tax deductible, so that's important to you. The next slide, Julie, if you could put it on. There are other avenues out there for residents to explore. And Julie, it's handled through Julie's office. Clause 41C, seniors and senior tax deferral, disabled veterans. I'm a veteran, I don't qualify. Blind, there's the Citizens Work-Off run through the Council on Aging for $1,000 off your taxes. I know that you've had someone help you in your office come in, and they work off their taxes that way. And I know at the library, they do the same thing. So those are some of the resources that are available to residents if they qualify, but some people just don't qualify. So let me see what else I have here. The applications will be available July 1st, 2024. They're due on October 29th, 2024. Final award decisions will be made by December 30th, 2024. And then the awards will be applied toward the tax bill by the third quarter, February 1st, 2025, or the fourth quarter of May 1st of 2025 or of fiscal year 2025. And then the application should be submitted to the assessor's office. And the reason for that is the assessors are geared for looking through financial statements. It's all confidential to determine whether they're income eligible for the programs. Thank you so much. Any questions?
So I've got a couple questions, and then I'll open it up to the rest of the council. So my first question is just kind of general tax-taking questions. This might be for you, Laura. So you mentioned the process briefly about tax takings and how that works. And obviously, the goal is not to end up foreclosing on these liens, but from that process starting when a tax bill or multiple bills are in default, how many of these actually end up going through foreclosure? I'm sure it's a long, drawn-out process that takes years.
It does.
But what are we looking at as far as rates on these things?
So obviously, the last thing we want is somebody's house. The city does not want anyone's property. So it really depends on the situation that we're in. It depends on how much is owed, what this person can afford. There's a lot of factors that are involved in how long it can take. I have some that, within a year I'll put them through. If people aren't responding to me and I've been trying to contact them and they've ignored me, then I will move that along a lot quicker. You just have to have a conversation with me because I don't know if maybe that person's deceased. And we do a lot of research, so we usually know if someone's deceased. We don't know if maybe an heir is not aware of it. So it really depends on the situation. I have a property that has 27 heirs and it's taken 8 years and it's still in court because all of those 27 people had to be notified. But if someone's not answering me, I'll move it along a little quicker. If somebody's working with us, we'll work with them. We're always willing to work with people because the last thing we want is their house. But land court takes about 2 years for foreclosure, and that's on an average, and that depends on if there's no issues with the title, if there's no heirs that are involved. Sometimes even land court has people that have, believe it or not, we had a file that the examiner passed away, so we had to start over. So things do happen, but it's several years before it gets that final foreclosure. And then when we do foreclose on the property, depending on the situation, if I have a waiver, then I don't have a wait period. But if I don't have a waiver, it takes a year before we can even auction that off, because that resident has the right to redeem that property in 1 year. So I still have to wait that period of time. Other extenuating circumstances might be if the property is blighted, it has issues, it's falling down, which sometimes that moves quicker through land court, especially if, the roof is falling in, or there's a cause where there's something wrong with the property. That'll move a little quicker. Our attorney will try to get that pushed through the process.
No, and I understand on the land court. I
yeah.
worked for a judge at one point.
Oh, did you? Okay, there you go. Yeah, it's a long
Very
process, it
long
really
process,
is.
So would you say, we might see a foreclosure every couple of years? Is this like 1 or 2 a year? Are we talking 5, 10, or?
So I would, for example, this year I've had 4. Which is more than normal, but I have files that I started on 8 years ago that are finally making their way through land court. So it's kind of like the train. I had to start the train going. So I keep moving files steadily. As you see, I come down here to ask for more money so I can keep the same level of files moving along. So right now it's 4. I see more coming. I've also foreclosed on some properties recently. I believe it's 6 of them through land of low value. So land of low value, depending, there's certain rules and regulations on that. That's cheaper than doing that through the regular foreclosure process. It's a different process, but it is cheaper, and it's usually parcels that you can't build on, parcels that people really don't want. And it's cheaper for the city to do a land of low value. The process is a little different. You have to have 2 auctions within 2 years. For us to actually own that property. And then we have to disclose that, obviously, if, we're auctioning it off, so.
Yeah, that's helpful, and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And second question, I'm not sure exactly who to address this to, but is sort of geared towards that last slide, is what's the process of this program for determining how the funds get allocated is this by the committee, or how are those decisions being made? What's the criteria for that?
Yeah, it's completed by the committee, right? And how much to award, we're just not sure yet. Terry and I visited the town of Plainville. They've already implemented the program, and sometimes they'll have 5 people who have a need, and they'll divide it up 5 ways. There's just no technique. We're still learning, to be honest with you. But if you Google Elderly and Disabled Taxation Fund, you'll see a number of communities have already implemented this. Seekonk has it, Plainville has it, and we tried to learn from what they're doing, and then took our rules and promulgated because, based on other people's experiences. So we're still in a learning curve, and it's going to depend on the, the demand. So.
Thank you. Councilor Foa, Councilor Sawyer, and then Councilor Angel.
Thank you for coming down.
Sure.
I have received the request for extra money with my property bills, and there is nothing else that it says except, please give money for those who can't afford their property taxes. I have found that so vague that it scared me.
I agree with you.
Well, I think then I would appreciate it if the committee can, even before you have everything set up, give some greater detail about what the program is, who might qualify, how they might apply. Whatever information you can give, I think would be helpful and would be encouraging to people who might be able to afford to give something but are reluctant to give, where there simply are no criteria, no explanation.
Right. I agree with you. I agree.
Right.
We have rules now.
Well, now.
I get them to you, but I agree with you. Yeah.
Good.
Maybe we jumped the gun a little bit, but there was a need to try to get some funds in as much as we could, so.
Hi.
Hi.
Thank you so much for coming. I appreciate it. I was just building a little bit on Councilor Foa and what you're saying, the name of the fund, to me, it looks kind of exclusionary, like only elderly or disabled people who have taxation problems can apply to this fund, and so I wonder if that's, the name is sticks, or if it's just because it was other towns who had the same type of name, but.
It's based on the legislation. So if you look at Chapter 60, Section 3D, it spells out elderly and disabled taxation committee. So we're sort of bound by what the state regulations are. I don't know if other communities are doing it any other way, like adding to it. I'm just not sure, but we were just working off what the legislature said we could do.
Because I was just thinking for somebody who lost a job or something like that, and
No,
going into that part of
exactly.
getting into foreclosure,
Right.
not knowing about this because of the
Right.
the name,
Yep,
Okay,
I agree.
thank you.
Hey, Councilor Doris. Nice to see you again, Don.
Thanks, Michael.
I want to thank all four of you for doing what you're doing, and I appreciate it. And this is great. And unfortunately, I think the need of this program is going to grow because all the baby boomers they're all getting to that age, and the economy is just difficult and stuff. So it's going to be that much more important. And obviously, I like Councilor Foa's suggestion too as well, in helping. And are you able to go to the Attleboro page and at least put something on there too as well, hopefully? And I know you can't. I don't think you can ask for donations on there, but you can actually at least put it
Laura
on
and
there.
Julie and the rest of the committee, you can explain. Yeah, thank you.
So we've put up, under committees, we have the Elderly and/or Disabled Taxation Fund Committee has a page now where we've put some general information. Now that we've made this presentation, we are going to put on that it's July 1st that the application will be out there. We are going to speak with the Kaylin to see if she can do some kind of, some informational thing to get it out to, the world. We're hoping maybe George will do something for us. So we'll be calling you George. And try to get that information out there. There are links, which we will have on the assessor's page, my page, the treasurer's page, as well as the collector's page to donate. So our mission is to get the word out there. To kind of speak to Ms. Foa's question that she had, this was voted out before the committee was it was voted by the council before the committee was even made up. So that's kind of why we had to put something out there. Believe it or not, we get $1 and we didn't have a committee. So we had to do something with that $1 and get a bank account open and then get the committee together. So it kind of went, a little quickly for us, and it's taken years for us to actually come to this point because we've had to get people on the committee. We had to look at all the different applications that are out there to try to get the criteria that's best suited for the city of Attleboro.
Great. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Councilor Holmes?
Thank you. So, yes, when did we vote? Do you know when the council did vote?
I'm sorry, say that again?
When did the council vote on this?
I think it's April of 2021.
2021.
I can go back and find that out for you, but I believe that is when it was voted.
Yeah, I was wondering if it was Council Conti. I don't know. Does anybody remember? All
I
right.
believe it was.
All right. Thank you.
President Dillon?
Chair Smith, nice to see you as always. What did you say the dollar amount was that's in the fund already?
Around 17,500.
Pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Pretty impressive,
Yeah.
considering that we haven't had the time to react and really have that
Right.
put together. I think that shows really how wide open the possibilities are here. So I just wanted to reiterate that piece.
And we're looking from donations from businesses,
Yep.
corporations,
So, if I may, Councilor, thank you. So, is it fair to say that it's not just from donations from the taxes, or can someone, you got a philanthropist out there, like, I want to cut a check?
We can have your uncle in Nebraska send us some.
We don't talk about him.
Yeah, well, yes. We will accept donations from.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So that's good to know, and I think that's good to
Yep.
get out there as well. So, thank you.
Thank you, Chair Tavares. Thank you all for coming out and for volunteering. I think it's impressive for the dollar amount, given that the notice was underwhelming, I guess. But no, I just want to commend you all, and I definitely love the idea of it being maybe on the city website or just some other outlets. You know, as a business owner, obviously we're always looking for places to donate that better suit our tax burden, I guess. But yeah, and I think it helps renters in the city who maybe just have no desire to own a home, but they still want to be charitable and help out to the community, especially where we're seeing a lot of development downtown, and that keeps, that's on the up more and more. So we're gonna have a lot more renters and hopefully people that want to rent long term. So I think that the ability for everybody to donate is awesome, and that's what I look forward to seeing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments for the speakers? Yeah.
I'm just going to make a quick comment and throw out Councilor Conti's name because he was on this like crazy for years. I mean, pushed it. I actually didn't think it was ever going to happen, and I'm amazed at the money collected in such a short period of time with really no outside advertisement about it or anything. So I'm just giving a shout out to Councilor Conti because he just would not let it go, and you know how he can be when he won't let it go. So I think it's amazing, and kudos to all of you who have worked so hard to get it to where it is, because it's not an easy thing to get the state to listen to us. So kudos to all of you.
All right,
yeah,
thank
it's
you.
great.
All right, well, thank you so much for the presentation. Very
Thank you, Mr.
informative.
Chairman.
And thank you for your efforts.
Thank you, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Appreciate it.
Have a good summer.
Attitude down.
All right. Before we close out the committee, are there any follow-up comments or thoughts? This issue? Okay. All right. Can I move to adjourn at 7:27? All those in favor?
You need a second, sir. You need a second.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No worries.
Move to adjourn at 7:27.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. We are adjourned at 7:27.
Hands are up again, Jonathan. You're up again.
Close your other hand.
Taxation.
Ordinances, elections, and legislative matters is canceled for this evening.
Transportation.
Yeah, traffic and transportation is also canceled for this evening. And I said that. One second. And I want to bring to order the Zoning and Land Use Committee. From the docket of June 18th, 2024, Mayor Hubar requests your honorable body to schedule a public hearing. I don't know, I'm sorry for saying that, kind of out loud, I didn't know if it was scheduled already. Actually, it is, so never mind. I will back up to that. I didn't read that. From the docket of June 18th, 2024, entering a motion to approve the following instruments to fulfill conditions of approval for the subdivision plan entitled Brigham Hill Estates Phase 1 and Brigham Hill Estates Phase 2. Specifically, condition number 32 contained in the Brigham Hill Estates Phase 1 certificate of vote, which requires WB Construction and Development to convey the city certain easements related to water and drainage infrastructure. And condition 33 contained in the Brigham Hill Estates Phase 2 certificate of vote, which requires WB Construction and Development, Inc. to convey to the city certain easements related to water and drainage infrastructure.
Second.
Thank you. I did look into this because I was interested as to why, what I believe these Brigham Hill Road was made a public way before, and they just hadn't completed the easements that were needed for this development in both of these sections. So that's why it's coming to us again. And any other questions or anything? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. And From the docket of June 18th, 2024, I entertain a motion to appropriate $500,000 from 1000-359000 General Fund Undesignated Fund Balance to Fund 3580 Illicit Connection Discharge Mitigation as part of National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System, NPDES compliance. The city conducts illicit discharge detection testing in phases throughout the city.
Second.
Thank you. I also looked into this because I didn't know what illicit discharge was. So it's basically residencies or businesses, water that goes into storm drainage, and that's not supposed to be going that way. And this fund is for a consultant that goes and checks all the drainage to make sure that there's nothing going in there that's not supposed to be there. And then they talk with whoever's the owner of the business or the residents and tell them that they have to fix it. So that's what this money is being moved to this other fund for. Any other questions on that? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Motion passes. And that is all the business that the Zoning and Land Use Committee has for this evening. And I'd like to I would like to close this meeting at 7:31.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
I'd like to call Public Safety and Emergency Management Committee to order at 7:31. Myself, Councilor Voring, and Councilor Angelo. A board motion this evening. From the docket of June 4th, 2024, I entertain a motion to authorize the city to expend $62,500 of ARPA funds on costs associated with the fire department's communication system repairs and upgrades.
Second.
Thank you. There was some backup information, but it was from March. I think it got lost in the shuffle. It's very similar to what I've been describing about how systems need to be upgraded because oftentimes the technology is not even there to fix things. So these are the funds that are going to be needed in order to upgrade the system. Any comments or questions? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. So I would like to call for an adjournment.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We're adjourned at 7:32. Thank you.
I'd like to call Public Works to order at 7:32. I have two motions. From the docket of June 18th, 2024, I entertain a motion to transfer $174 from account 6100-578300 Water Enterprise Fund Reserve Fund for transfer to account 6100-574010 Water Enterprise Fund Insurance.
Second.
Thank you. So this is just a leftover payment for insurance. Does anybody have any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. From the docket of June 18th, 2024, I entertain a motion to appropriate $39,238.82 from account 6000-359000 wastewater enterprise fund retained earnings to account 6000-553-150 water and wastewater enterprise fund water meter supplies. After such time, the accounting department will work with the wastewater department to transfer the funds to the water enterprise fund for the residential meter replacement program.
Second.
Thank you. So this is the ongoing meter replacement program that has been going on for quite a while. I talked to Courtney, and she said there's probably like 7% left to complete. So of the 408 new meters, 291 of them were Seward properties, and wastewater pays 50%. Does anybody have any questions or anything? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. That's all the business for Public Works Committee. I'd like to call for an adjournment at 7:34.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned. Thank you.
I'd like to call City Property and Claims Committee to order at 7:34. And I only have one matter on the docket this evening. From the docket of June 18th, 2024, I entertain to declare the following police department vehicle as surplus and available for disposition for trade-in or to sell. It is a 2014 Ford PI utility truck. It's a bin number of 1FM5K8AR7EGA55356. It has 131,990 miles, and the condition is poor.
Second.
Thank you. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Any questions or concerns? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That motion passes, and that is all the business City Property and Claims Committee has this evening. I'd like to call for an adjournment.
Second.
Thank you. And we are, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned at 7:35? 7:35. Thank you.
I'd like to call to order the licensing committee at 7:35. Some people, I don't think anybody else has a copy of this. It didn't get into the packet, but I wanted to make sure I brought it out tonight. Thankfully, it's fairly cut and dry. From the docket of April 16, 2024, I entertain a motion to approve the new Class 2 license application from Route 1 Automotive, Inc., 883 Washington Street, with 10 customer parking spaces and 55 display spaces.
Second.
Thank you. We had a public hearing back on May 7th, and Wally came out and spoke. There were a few people that were concerned based upon a previous tenant that had rented from Wally. So I just wanted to take a little bit of time to communicate with Wally and with the parties that abut the property that were concerned. Everybody is happy to move forward with this, and that's why I'm bringing it up tonight. Happy to hear any other questions, concerns, comments. Perfect. Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 2-0. And I would call for an adjournment at 7:36.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Perfect. We're adjourned.
I cancel the IT and Infrastructure Committee meeting this evening. Also, the Special Committee on Rules and Procedures is canceled for this evening.
Thank you. I'd like to call the Finance Committee to order at 7:36. And we are going to go a little bit out of order. If you go to the second page, from the docket of June 18th, 2024, I entertain a motion to approve the payment in lieu of tax agreement pilot between No Fossil Fuel LLC and the City of Attleboro. The City Council authorized the mayor and the Assessors Board by vote number 23 on December 5th, 2023, to enter negotiations with the company for a solar photovoltaic facility plan for development at 179 Peckham Street.
Second.
Motion's in order. So this motion is to approve the pilot agreement. And the reason I'm doing this out of order is because we have, because I asked Julie if she would stay a little bit longer to help explain some of the details of this, because it does get a little bit complicated. And if there were questions that I couldn't answer, because some of this does get fairly complicated. So this is a pilot agreement, payment in lieu of taxes for personal property taxes, not for the commercial property taxes for this property here. This is the solar farm on Peck Street that is developing where the old landfill is. It's going to be incredibly expensive to develop that property. And so one of the things that is being offered here by the city is, in exchange for developing this property for a 20-year period, in exchange for doing this, and to get this property back on the tax rolls for us, so that we can start collecting taxes on this. And right now, we're not collecting any taxes at all for this property. We'll collect, what was it? It would end up being roughly $500,000 over the 20-year period. So the pilot agreement is roughly $20,000, $19,120 at a 2% escalator each year, which over the 20-year period comes out to roughly $500,000 for personal property taxes. So this is in addition to their property taxes. Does everyone understand the difference there?
Excuse me,
Councilor Foley.
what is the property that isn't being taxed? What is their personal property?
So for instance,
vault.
they're going to install roughly 4,000 solar panels. It's a solar farm on the property that used to be a landfill. And so that would be considered personal property that would be taxed and then as personal property and then depreciate in a similar way that like when a dentist purchases new equipment for their dental office, that is personal property. These solar panels would essentially be personal property and would be taxed and then depreciate over time. And so that property is what we're giving them a offering in discussing giving them a pilot for. And by doing this, it allows that property to be put on the books. It gives Attleboro, it allows Attleboro to be a green city. I think it's good overall. I'm supportive of this. I know pilot programs in general can be controversial, so I'm open to discussions, and if we want the assessor to come up and answer more detailed questions that maybe I can't answer, she's here, so I'll open it up. And I saw Councilor Dolan first, and then
Thank you.
Councilor Fuller.
So the 20K, so the 500K over 20 years is just the personal property?
Just the personal property,
And that
correct.
includes, does that include the approximate depreciation over the years?
It's a static amount. So there's
The
a,
whole 500,000, and that's besides the actual property itself, the land?
correct. So this pilot says that we're going, for the first year, we would assess them for a static fee of $19,120. The next year, we would assess them for 2% more than that, which would be $19,502. And the year after that would be 2% more. So instead of, so they're going to invest a ton of money to develop this property on the old landfill site. And so that the understanding is that personal property cost would probably be quite a bit more upfront initially and then depreciate over time. And this sort of spreads it out and probably gives them a significant discount.
Thank you.
Councilor Foer, then Councilor Sawyer, then Councilor Holmes.
My question is, what would it be but for the payment in lieu of taxes?
I don't have that answer, and that's a good question, and we can.
I think,
Hopefully I can answer everything for you.
Thank you.
Okay, hi, everyone. So, let me just
You-
pull out my sheet.
You have the for the 4,000.
I have an estimate.
Yeah, that's-
So based on the equipment list that we were provided and the cost analysis on that, the first year could potentially be $68,000 in tax. Now, why enter into a pilot agreement with a developer? It provides stability. It provides stability to the city and to the developer. And it allows them to get their financing in order and keep their financials in order. And again, it gives us a set amount. We know the revenue that the city is gonna get each year. It also disallows them from filing an abatement at the appellate tax board. So this is a set amount. It's agreed upon for 20 years. If we assessed as personal property, they have the right to file for an abatement. It goes to the appellate tax board, they make the decision on what the value is. So it opens the city up to that litigation and to possibly losing revenue from that, that area. So, did I answer that?
One thing I didn't ask earlier, when we do this, do we still get to recognize this as new growth year over year? Does this still show up on the,
So
for personal property?
the law recently changed, and under clause 45, that's where this exists. It used to be, this solar arrays as personal property used to be exempt. That changed, they're no longer fully exempt. But under that, a solar pilot becomes general revenue, and it is not added as new growth.
Okay.
But it goes into the general fund each year. It doesn't go into the tax levy, into the tax base that way.
Councilor Sawyer, then Councilor Holmes.
Hi, hi, Griffey. So we're allowing for this developer who is then our personal property to make this solar farm. Is the solar farm then going to produce electricity for the city? Is it something that, you know, we're additionally is gonna help other people? Is it just gonna be his own solar farm for his own electricity? I mean, where's the, what's happening with that and why, like, I'm just trying to figure out why we're allowing him to do this and get this pilot program, and then, you know, is it doing something for the city also?
So I don't know that there were any discussions about the city purchasing any of the credits or anything like that, or any of the power from it. Basically, why allow this? They could do it anyway. Why go with the pilot? Again, it's the secured revenue. We know what we're gonna get for 20 years. And with this particular development, some things that were taken into consideration when negotiating this pilot were the fact that, one, it's on the old landfill, which is in tax title. We're not going to receive any tax money on this property. This developer has also entered into an agreement, and Laura agreed to stay with me, thank you so much. So this property, like I said, is in tax title. They've entered into a payment agreement with Laura to pay back $450,000 of back tax that the city would never see. We would never get that. So it is a benefit. It's a win-win for the city. This land can be used for something and maybe potentially help the city and the residents in some way. I don't know. I can't really speak to that. But and we're guaranteed the revenue for 20 years. We get the back taxes. Yeah.
Councilor Holmes, then Councilor Lavoy.
Thank you. So how often does the city enter into a pilot program? And I guess what are the options after the 20 years? What do we see happen sometimes after?
After the 20 years, it can be renewed. If it's not renewed, then it's taxed as personal property. Also, within the agreement.
Renewed with our approval, though.
Right, correct.
Or
correct.
the council's.
It would go through the same process. It would be renegotiated. It would come back before the council. And if you approve, I just lost my train of thought.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. Within the pilot agreement, if the developer, we agreed upon this price. If the developer says, oh, great, I'm going to put, 1,000 more panels on there and I only have to pay $19,000, that's not the case. If they add additional equipment, we can come back and renegotiate and add per megawatt DC. It's a price per megawatt DC. So if they add equipment that's going to produce more energy, their pilot is going to go up. And that's written into the agreement that they signed.
And then the first question was, how often do we enter into pilot?
So whenever, if a developer approaches us about it, this is the first one. This is the first one we've done. Okay. I know there is another off of Richardson Ave. There's another development going in. I suspect they're going to approach us about a pilot.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Councilor Lavoy, then Councilor Angelo.
Thank you, Chair Kovas. So you answered part of my question with the 450,000. So I just want to confirm the numbers. So is that 950,000 total? Okay, I just want to confirm that. I knew there was a large owed tax figure on that property. I'm pretty familiar with it, so that's why I intended to ask that. What are the fail-safes for this? If for some reason they defaulted and didn't pay for the year, what's the city's abilities to kind of terminate the agreement, and then what's done with the property that contains solar panels if they choose not to remove them.
Right, so we basically kind of have a lien. They are required to do a UCC filing, which kind of adds us as a lien holder to their project. So if they default in any way, if that property is sold or whatever happens with it, we are basically a lien holder on it.
Councilor Angela.
Thank you, Councilor Clovis. Councilor Lloyd just touched on one of my questions, so thank you for that. I mean, to me, it just seems like a win-win all the way, and it's not like we're gonna be putting houses on this, or anybody's gonna put houses on. It's not
Right,
gonna happen.
I mean, I
Can't
hate to say
happen.
junk land, but
So,
it's.
this is
it's-
perfect, I
Laura
think.
does not want it. She does not want it to
Yeah.
stay in tax title. She does not want to foreclose on it. Yeah.
I think this is great for the city. This is really good, so thanks for all the hard work on this. I appreciate it very much.
Councilor Foy.
You told us how much the personal property tax would be in year one, but what would it be over 20 years, or even over 10 years?
Right, right.
No,
So,
this is
Oh,
what they
that's
get
the-
in lieu
the
of
static.
taxes, it's
Yep.
$500,000.
so it goes down from there. It depreciates from there, from the 68. So I did an estimate, and this is all estimates depending upon, I don't know what the tax rate's gonna be 20 years from now, but an estimate that I ran was roughly 817,000 is what we potentially could collect over the 20 years.
So we are giving them the benefit of approximately $300,000.
Correct,
Okay.
yeah.
And how did we decide 20 years, which seems to me, for payment in lieu of taxes, an extraordinarily long time?
That's in the law, is 20 years. And really, that's
Which
the-
law?
under chapter 59.5, clause 45,
Which provides for what? I'm not familiar with
which
it.
provides for the pilot, which allows us to enter into a payment in lieu of tax agreement.
With private parties.
Correct.
I see.
Chapter
Yes.
59, Section 5, Clause 4.
Under certain circumstances, it can be extended up to 25 years. We didn't extend, we just went with the 20 years. They didn't
They
didn't request an extension either, so. And basically, the life of the project is estimated at 20 years. I mean, it will continue on. They're probably going to replace equipment as they go on, so they will keep it running, and we probably will be coming back down in 20 years, not me, but somebody else, to extend this agreement, I would say. But, yeah, the panels, their estimated life is approximately 20 to 30 years. So.
Thank you.
President Delicio.
Thank you. So I think this is a win-win, as has been said, or as Michael Scott would say, it's a win-win-win. But I think when you look at the other benefit of this, and Julie, I think you started to you alluded to it, is this is gonna be a motivating factor for this company to complete the project. I think off the top of my head, the property across from Warren's, we did a tie, I believe, and that was part of it. It was, we either helped them out, they couldn't secure the funding, so do we look at a nice new building where we can have houses, or do we tax, and it was low, it was like a $3,000 a year tax for a hole in the ground. So I think these sort of situations, when it's the right situation, will help to get us over the finish line, so we have a finished product. You touched about them coming, solar panels, like any other technology, becomes obsolete. And as we go along, it becomes obsolete at a quicker pace. Therefore, in 20 years, and it might be before 20 years, they might come back down and say, hey, let's renegotiate, can we take some of this other place? We're turning a landfill and turning it into a renewable energy source.
Yeah.
And in a time where we need to find creative revenue streams, we're finding a creative revenue stream. To me, this is a no-brainer.
100%. I mean, we were talking about the environment with the billboards. This is far more environmental friendly than, anyway. Any other questions? Hearing none. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody.
That was
Have a
a
good night.
great discussion. So, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. All right, and And now I lost my papers. And so now we'll go back to the beginning and go in order. All right. From the docket of June 18th, 2024, I entertain a motion to authorize the city to expend $1,524,631.97 in ARPA funds for the following: citywide phone system upgrades, citywide Cisco switch upgrades, citywide computer system and server upgrades, police de-escalation interactive training simulator, police evidence storage container, police cruisers, fire storage area for personal protective gear, replace breathing air cascade system at South Attleboro Fire Station, repair Balfour Riverwalk pedestrian bridge, zoo fire alarm system, electronic permitting, library carpet project. Additionally, the mayor respectfully requests authorization to reallocate unobligated contingency funds from any approved ARPA projects to the following projects, same as above.
Second.
Motion is in order. So, as we get close to the end, or as we get close to the end of the year and these ARPA funds are moving quickly, there's roughly $1.5 million remaining in ARPA funds. And what this motion does is it gives the administration the ability to relatively quickly move funds around to these projects here. And so as they have the ability to spend funds on these projects, or if they can, they need to have a contract to obligate these funds and have them under obligation by the end of the year. And it also allows them, as other ARPA projects are completed, a lot of those projects had contingencies, like the Pawtucket Water Interconnect had, I think there's like $60,000 that's potentially going to become available. As that project completes and those funds become available, it allows them to quickly move those funds over and obligate those funds to these specific projects. Now, when Mason and I sat down and talked about these projects and we sort of looked through the projects, one of the things you'll notice, just about every project here are projects that we listed on our capital improvement plan. So these are projects that we've asked for. So that's first and foremost to note. There's 3 projects that were not on that capital improvement project that I'd like to highlight. That's the police evidence storage container, the police cruiser, and the electronic permitting. The police cruiser, we during budgeting discussions, we heard from Chief Agnew how important it is to replace those cruisers, and if we have an opportunity to use ARPA funds to pay for one cruiser, and we can get that before the end of next year, I think that makes sense. Evidence storage container and electronic permitting, those both make sense to me. So those are 3 of the items that weren't on there. The other items I'd like to highlight that weren't on the capital improvement program are the first 3 items there, which are citywide phone system upgrade, citywide Cisco switch upgrade, and citywide computer system and server upgrades. Those items are for those are to purchase commercial off-the-shelf type items, so that we don't turn back $1 of this federal money. And those are items that, as we near the deadline for when it's time to turn back these funds to the federal government. If there's funds remaining, there will always be IT items that we can fund. And so these are quick items that we can obligate the fund to purchase. And so that's what those top 3 items there are. So I think this is strategic, it makes a lot of sense, and I'm supportive of it. But I know it's sort of unusual the way it's written, so I want to make sure everyone understands what's going on there. Councilor Tavares, then Councilor Delicio.
Councilor Copus, I love the explanation. Makes a lot of sense, and I love the work that Mason, the administration, have done to optimize these funds, to obligate them and expend them within the time constraints that we have, and integrate them with some of the things we've discussed as a council here, and some of the other items that you've pointed out that are sort of evergreen items that we'll always need to address. So yeah, I love everything about this. So thank you.
Great. President Delicio?
Yeah, thank you. Number 3. But no, just again, I think you did a really nice job of explaining this. This really becomes a catch-all. There are $1.5 million worth of CIP items essentially on here.
Mm-hmm.
We budget a line item of $500,000 a year. We're tripling what that line item is. We're checking off some really important projects, and we're up against the clock. It's very time sensitive, as you mentioned, and this isn't like the end of the year. For anything that's turned back, it doesn't go back into the general fund. We lose it. It's gone. So if we don't get these projects and pieces of equipment taken care of, we lose a prime opportunity, and in my mind, that'd be irresponsible.
Agreed. So does that make sense? I know this is a little bit abnormal, but hopefully it makes sense to everybody. All right. So with that said, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Next. For the docket of June 18th, 2024, I entertain a motion to approve the expenditure of such funds as specified within the parameters of the grant, and also approve any further grant amendments regarding the anticipated receipt of $76,560 Department of Energy Efficiency and Conservation Block Grant to be used to purchase an electronic vehicle and a hybrid vehicle for Parks and Forestry, and additionally to transfer $25,000 from account 1650100-511000 Park and Forestry salary and wages to account 1650100-599200 Park and Forestry, transferred to grant, and further transfer $25,000 from account 1650100-599200 Park and Forestry, transfer to grant to fund 2298-499600 EECBG transfer from general fund to cover the additional monies needed to complete the purchase of the vehicle's charger and electronic installation.
Second.
Motion's in order. This is to purchase a new van for the for animal control. The existing van is a 2007 van and this is a unique way to get this paid for with grant funds. It will cost us roughly $25,000, but I think it's a great way to get this funded. So, Councilor Tavares.
Do we know what percentage that is of the total cost of the vehicle, that the $25,000 that the city's coming up with? Just out of curiosity.
So 76,560 is coming from the grant.
I'm sorry. Yep, nope, it's right there, right in front of me. Sorry.
Admittedly, part of that is to install the charging station and all that, but but that's, so it's roughly $100K total for the vehicle and the charging station. But $76K of it is coming from grant monies. Councilor Foy.
Thank you. Now, we are going to be getting, by, I'm now told, the end of August, a charging station right here, open 24/7. to everyone, including, of course, the city. Do we need an additional one just for Parks and Forestry?
Councilor Angela?
I might be able to help with that. This is for animal control, right? Which is, no, it's not animal control, or is this?
It is
Yeah.
for animal
Yeah.
control.
Yeah, so it's animal control, which is gonna be housed down in Seekonk, Attleboro line on Pond Street. So the one that you're talking about is literally right outside this window,
Yes.
right out here. So they could not be, it just wouldn't work. The charging station has to be right at animal control, so it can be charging there, and they can use it, because they don't want to have to be driving back here, get the van, drive all the way back here, have to transport a dog to the vet, which is what they do all the time. And I can tell you, these vans that they've had, me being in the city for 50 plus years, and obviously the vans are not 50 plus years old, but these vans have been around for a long time, and they've had a lot of repairs. And I know Councilor Dolan could speak of that too as well. So they're in much need of it. These are old vans, and animal control really, really needs this. And there is no other spot that can be aside from outside animal control down on Pond Street.
Councilor Fogg?
Thank you. That's an excellent explanation. I'm wondering whether other entities, either from the city or the general public, can use that charging station.
Point of order,
So, probably.
just a point of order, the conversation's about the vehicle, not the charging station.
Well, I thought charging station was part of the cost.
It's for
if
animal
not,
control, correct?
Excuse me?
It's for animal control, correct?
It is for animal control, not for,
Correct.
yeah.
Okay, my mistake.
Councilor LaVoy?
Just for a quick clarification, is it two vehicles? It says electric vehicle and a hybrid vehicle, Parks and Forestry, and then down bottom it mentions purchase of vehicles. So I know you just mentioned a van. Is it? I think if I remember, there was a Ford Maverick. I'm not sure if that's in this. I remembered hearing of that beforehand.
That's Pocket Forestry, sorry, excuse me. That's Pocket Forestry.
Yeah, I thought it was,
Either way, I think perfect use of grant money. I just for
Yep.
clarification purposes, I think.
I'll
If we're
get that
certainly getting-
I'll get that clarified
Yeah.
for next week.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
My understanding was it was just the one van, but that's a great question. I'll get that clarified for next week.
Either way, I support it, but I'm just curious on that end.
Any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. And the next one we passed. From the docket of June 18th, I entertain a motion to appropriate $500,000 from account 1000-359000, general fund balance undesignated, to fund 8509, special purpose capital stabilization fund.
Second.
Motion is in order. This is just moving the $500,000 into the special purpose capital stabilization fund. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. From the docket of June 18, 2024, I move to appropriate $500,000 from 1000-359000, general fund undesignated fund balance, to fund 3507, library reconstruction, to be used for the library project involving approximately 25,000 square feet of carpet replacement across the 4 floors and all the associated work involved.
Second.
Motion's in order. So this is the project that Mason and I spent most of our Monday talking about. This project was in the capital improvement book for $220,000. And all of a sudden now we're asking for an additional $500,000, or, sorry, not an additional. Now the project has ballooned out to, over $600,000, 500 here, additional money coming from ARPA. The reason being is that it's roughly $250,000 for the carpet in the construction work itself. the additional cost that the original estimate that was provided, that was used for the capital improvement book from a number of years ago, didn't cover any of the logistics of sort of moving the books in and out, and was sort of just a quick estimate for, here's what it is to replace these carpets. It wasn't sort of a real project estimate for doing the project. So to actually get this designed and done is going to cost a lot more. There's going to need to be a moving team, like, on standby all the time to sort of move these library stacks and the columns out with all the books and all of that, and then move them back, and we spent a lot of time discussing, well, can we just carpet around them, or do we even have to replace the carpet? Can't we just remove the carpet and leave like polished concrete, or can we do something else? And these are all questions that have been asked 100 times by the mayor already and have been evaluated, and this is the best option. And I don't like this, but I do think while we can use a little bit of ARPA funds to help pay this down, it's a tough pill to swallow. But and while we can use we have some undesignated fund balance to pay for it as a one-time capital improvement project. And we had talked about it, and it was in our capital improvement message. I think it is something that we should support. It is a tough one. It's a tough pill to swallow, though. President Delicio, then Councilor Lavoy.
Yeah, thank you. I had a very similar conversation with Deb Gould yesterday regarding this. It is a tough pill to swallow, especially in these times. But as you said, we just spent how many millions on the envelope project at the library? We need to get this over the finish line. It's something that needs to get done. This is the parameters we have to play with now. We have to be aware of supply chain issues, inflation still being a real thing, but this is a project that needs to get done. And if, as you mentioned, it went from 250 to 600, if we wait more, we kick it down the can down the road, it's just gonna be more expensive. So we gotta stop the bleeding at some point.
Councilor Lavoy.
Thank you. Yeah, that's an astronomical number for carpet, and maybe I'm just in the wrong business. But what I'd really like to see, honestly, is that this stay in committee and we attempt to get whoever involved down here to explain why these other solutions are not formidable solutions. I mean, and I spoke to Mason. Mason kind of gave me some explanation, but I didn't really agree wholeheartedly with it.
Mm-hmm.
Corporate chains and all kinds of establishments do carpet tiles every year. They go around shelves in their stores to avoid this exact thing. So if we're saying it's going to be doubling the figure, it's essentially what I got from Mason. We're doubling the figure to pay for a moving company. So if we can cut this figure in half by carpeting around the existing obstacles to so the concern I got was that if they move the shelf, they have to recarpet it. My proposal to them was carpet tile, because carpet tile, you can cut it, you can do whatever you want with it. If something dumps on the carpet, you can pull that tile up and then pop a new one in, and you don't even have to pay someone to come and clean it. CVS does it. Next time you're in there, take a look. That's tile with carpet on top. It's used in a lot of commercial aspects. So that's really what I was hoping to recommend and kind of almost see implemented. Maybe that it was a stone unturned. I just don't see where doubling this figure makes sense in terms of trying to avoid if the shelves move down the road or other things down the road. It seemed pretty vague, so I would love for someone to come here and give me a good explanation, I guess.
Okay. Councilor Tavares.
I'd say I agree with Councilor Lavoy on this. I mean, it's one thing for costs to go up, and I will admit I'm still a little bit confused as to whether the price increase has to do with just the increase in prices or just the scope of work wasn't contemplated right up front. That's what it sounds like, because it's 100% more, right? So, and I guess that's okay to a certain extent. That, I mean, we know now, but I guess I'd like to know why. So to Councilor Lavoie's point, I would be in favor too of having someone, whether it's the budget director or just the administration in general, just maybe come down, just sort of explain this as well, because it's we want to be good stewards of every dollar. And I'm not saying that ultimately we won't vote to support this as a council, right? I mean, I think for context, from what I heard, I believe there's some health issues there, right? There's some mold underneath the carpet and some other issues. So I'm definitely not in favor of dragging this out. But at the same time, I want to make sure we do it right. So it might not change what we're doing moving forward, and this might be the path forward, but just want to make sure process-wise that we're being wise and considering all these things too. So.
And so how about I call for a committee meeting before the full council meeting next week, just in case we need to get this out before the end of the fiscal year. President Delicio?
I think that's the prudent move. I agree with our colleagues. I hate spending money that we don't need to.
Agreed.
I think when all is said and done, I think we're gonna find out this is a project we need to complete. And yes, it needs to get done by the June 30th deadline. If it doesn't, of course, just like anything else, it could be a turn back, go back into the free cash, and then we're back here next fiscal year talking about it. I think if we can get the right people down here, I would suggest a 6:30 meeting, not a 6:45.
Okay. So, Councilor Dolan before.
No, it's all right. I'll wait. I'm good.
So who's second? Who's the second?
So I'm gonna rescind the second.
Are we all set with?
I'm good with it for all the same reasons they said. I think it's outrageous, the price increase, but I do think that it's adding things that we didn't add before. It's moving the furniture, it's, making sure that you can have the carpet all over, but I mean, I do know that CVS does use those tile carpets, and they do look pretty neat, so I guess that, why is that not an option? I guess it's worth knowing a little bit more before we, pull it. Do it, we're gonna do it somehow. It's just, is there a better way to do it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if it's, have you withdrawn your second?
I did withdraw.
Then-
Okay, never mind.
Never mind.
And then that concludes the business for the Finance Committee. I move to adjourn at 8:17.
Second.
Motion's in order. All those in favor? And we are adjourned at 8:17.
Remember to get 2 minutes of Virginia.